There are two major astrological transits happening in the United States in 2024. What does this mean? What does it mean as far as war or the economy? We're going to look at both of these transits in detail in this video. The first transit we're going to look at is the Pluto return transit. And the return happens in a cycle every 248 years. And so for a country that we're looking at here, the United States, about every 248 years, there's major evolutionary changes and transformation in the country that happen. And so we're going to be looking at that today. Pluto rules war, death, nuclear energy, power, and viruses. The Pluto return transit happens 3 times during 2024. And it hits exact 3 times, February, July, and December. And so these are especially 3 times when you'll see peak activity of this transit occur. But essentially, this transit is very active, as you can see, entirely through the whole year of 2024. So what's most likely to happen during this Pluto return transit of the United States in 2024? Well, it looks like it's going to go hot with Russia, and the reason I'm saying that is demonstrated in this astrology chart here. What we have is an inner wheel, that's the US chart, and the middle wheel is the Russia chart, and the outer wheel are the world transits that are occurring. And so what's concerning to an astrologer here is what I'm going to show you right here. Pluto conjunct Pluto of the US chart conjunct Saturn of the Russia chart, and of course that conjuncts the Pluto of the world chart. And so when you see the combination of Pluto and Saturn together between countries, that generally indicates conflict of some kind. It can even go to war, which it already is. When the Pluto transit started for the U.S. in 2022, that's when the proxy war started between Russia and Ukraine. And so you can see now it's building to a crescendo here in 2024. It's coming into a peak transit, and with the Pluto of the U.S. conjunct Saturn of Russia, and both of them conjuncting Pluto in the world chart, that indicates that conflict is most likely going to escalate. And so that's why in the title I said Russia goes hot, because this is the culmination of that conflict. As part of this transit and conflict with Russia, Pluto rules power as well. And so as part of that, you could possibly have attacks on the U.S. power grid, key infrastructure. You could have cyber attacks, and also Pluto rules viruses too. So you could even have some biological warfare involved in this. The second major transit that we're going to look at for the United States in 2024 is the Neptune opposition. And so Neptune rules water, it rules banking, money, the flow of money in a country's analysis. So here's the Neptune opposition in the U.S. chart. So we're adding that to the Pluto return right here. And also we have the Neptune opposition happening in 2024, and it peaks in February. So actually both the Pluto return and Neptune opposition peak in February. And so expect a lot of things to be happening around, what's involved in a Pluto return and Neptune opposition. Expect peak activity in the month of February. The last time the U.S. had a Neptune opposition, it's only had one of them, is in the 1850s leading up to the Civil War in 1862. So eventually, the crisis built up until basically you had the Civil War in the 1860s, and that led to a completely new financial system in the United States after that. In the Neptune opposition, we're very likely to see more bank failures, more bank consolidations and buyouts by larger banks. Expect that trend to continue. Small business failures, and more consolidation of smaller businesses into large corporations. That's also more likely during a Neptune opposition. Expect home values and home sales to decrease, and more foreclosures to happen on housing. The credit card debt will increase, and probably delinquency on credit cards will increase. Just more financial stress and tension on the country and on the banking system. I want to say at this point that both of these major transits could be used in a positive way. They're being used in a negative way, and all transits are that way. You can use them in a positive way or a negative way. Unfortunately, we're seeing the more negative aspects of them. They could be used to use diplomacy instead of using war to solve international problems. They could be used to make the power grid more secure. It could be used to reduce the national debt. All those kinds of things, they could be used for that. But unfortunately, what you're seeing, given the current international governments and leadership, you're just not seeing that. They have a different agenda, and so unfortunately, you see the more negative aspect. Just like in the events leading up to the Civil War and the financial stress that was occurring between the North and the South, which led to the Civil War and then the eventual new financial system that was introduced after the Civil War. You could see the same thing now potentially happening, where a new central bank, digital currency, and new economic system that goes along with that are introduced based on the stress in the system that could eventually lead to us going into a newer system. And the Federal Reserve and the banking system, that is basically where they're headed. They've been doing prototype testing and beta testing, white papers, the sort of thing, on implementing a digital system. They see that is the future, and that we're heading towards that, and they are planning for that. So, this Neptune opposition does play into that well for them, because that basically could cause the, recession or stress in the system that then could lead to them implementing the new digital CBDC system to alleviate that issue. Check out my forecast playlist, which includes videos on the Pluto return and Neptune opposition, where I go into much more depth on the entire transits for both of these. And also, please consider subscribing so you make sure and get all the latest updates and forecasts that I have.